Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. A lot of new activity in the Luigi Mangione case, with his 82-page document being not totally released, but being referred to by the Manhattan DA's office. And one of the things that they did leak out in one of these hearings is that they believed that he was planning a mass casualty event, which is sort of, it's not 100% sure. When you read it in his document, sometimes he says that he wanted to target a specific individual who was, of course, this man, Brian Thompson, because he did not want to injure innocent people in going after and making a political statement. But then the Manhattan DA's office is saying in his 82 pages of writings, which they call loosely a manifesto, that he was in fact planning a mass casualty event, which doesn't seem like the type of thing that he wanted to do, because he stated in other parts of his manifesto, if you will, that he did not want to injure other people. But he clearly hated the CEO of United Healthcare and referred to him, and we'll go to some of his writings as how he referred to him, and he despised, of course, the healthcare industry in this country and the greed connected to it. And again, we mentioned that his family was in the nursing home business, apparently owned 12 nursing homes. So isn't that curious that it's almost like he was biting the hand or slapping the hand that fed him or feeds him, and he became sort of a political activist against the healthcare industry, a business that his family was heavily involved in. So folks, hold on to your hats, hold on to your loved ones, hold on to your dog, hold on to your cat. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off the cuff zone, the police off the cuff zone.
There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
And now a word from our sponsor. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. With baseball season in full swing, we're deep into the NBA and the NHL finals, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. We keep the dog days of summer rolling with the largest selection of odds on everything. With updated odds on Major League Baseball, UFC, and boxing, to tennis and NFL futures, BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. You know, with this information that's coming out and some of the things with the case and the prosecution of Luigi Mangione, which is a little bit baffling to me, is it seems that the lead agency right now is the Manhattan DA's office. They're taking the lead. They're sort of leaking some of these documents that have come out. They want to go forward and prosecute this case. Yet the feds, the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Southern District, they have the death penalty. And Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, has indicated that the federal government wants to go for the death penalty in this case. So does it make sense for the state to prosecute as well as the federal government? Isn't that sort of double jeopardy here? So, 6 weeks before United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was gunned down outside a Manhattan hotel in December, suspect Luigi Mangione mused about rebelling against the deadly greed that fueled the healthcare insurance cartel and said killing the executive conveys a greedy bastard that he had it coming. Prosecutors revealed this on Wednesday. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office quoted extensively from Mangione's handwritten diary, highlighting his desire to kill an insurance honcho and praise for Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, as they fight to uphold his state murder charges. They also cited a confession they said he penned to the feds in which he wrote that it had to be done. They also want state terrorism charges. Mangione's lawyers want the state case thrown out, arguing in court papers that those charges and a parallel federal death penalty case amount to double jeopardy. And the defense attorneys want the state terrorism charges dismissed, have asked for the federal case to go first, and say prosecutors should be barred from using evidence collected during Mangione's arrest, including a 9mm handgun, statements to police, and the diary. Manhattan prosecutors contend that there are no double jeopardy issues because neither case has gone to trial and because the state and federal prosecutions involve different legal theories. His lawyers said that this created a legal quagmire that makes it legally and logistically impossible to defend against them simultaneously. The state charges, which carry a maximum of life in prison, allege that Mangione wanted to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, that is, insurance employees and investors. The federal charges allege that Mangione stalked an individual, Thompson, and do not involve terror allegations. Mangione, who is 27 years old, has pleaded not guilty in both cases, and no trial dates have been set. And this is according to the Associated Press. So we know that there is a total of 3 cases. There is the Manhattan DA's office, which would prosecute this case because, in fact, and indeed, it happened in Manhattan. And then we have the U.S. Attorney's Office, who wants to prosecute this. This is a federal death penalty case. And lastly, the Altoona, Pennsylvania District Attorney would prosecute this, we would think, last. And perhaps they will never get to that, because if there is a conviction in either the state or the federal case, why would the Altoona, Pennsylvania District Attorney even go forth? It would be a waste of resources, time, money, everything. So it'll remain to be seen how this is going to play out. Who is actually going to get the first bite of the apple here in regards to prosecuting Luigi Mangione? I'm going to put this up on the screen here.
Our top story tonight, court documents are shedding new light on the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. New York State prosecutors say Luigi Mangione had a diary where he wrote about his plans to kill the healthcare executive months before Thompson was shot and killed in New York City. In that 82-page filing, prosecutors justified adding terrorism to Mangione's first-degree murder charge.
And Fox 9's Maury Glover read through those documents and has more on what they contain.
When Luigi Mangione was arrested by police in Altoona, Pennsylvania last December, prosecutors say they recovered a red notebook he used as a diary. They say the diary includes several entries that explain Mangione's intent and motive to deliberately assassinate Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, the country's largest health insurance company. Prosecutors say an entry in August of last year reads, "I finally feel confident about what I will do. The details are coming together, and I don't feel any doubt about whether it's right/justified." He goes on to write, "The target is insurance. It checks every box." Then in October, about a month and a half before Thompson was shot and killed outside the Midtown Manhattan Hotel, where United Healthcare's annual investors conference was scheduled to be held, Mangione writes, "The investor conference is a true windfall. It embodies everything wrong with our health system. And most importantly, the message becomes self-evident." Prosecutors say Mangione references Ted Kaczynski, saying the Unabomber made some good points, but he crossed the line from anarchist to terrorist by indiscriminately mail-bombing innocent people. In his diary, Mangione writes, "Instead of carrying out a bombing, one should whack the CEO at the annual parasitic bean counter convention. It's targeted, precise, and doesn't risk innocence." The point is made in the news headline, Insurance CEO Killed at Annual Investors Conference. In the filing, prosecutors wrote, if ever there were an open and shut case pointing to defendant's guilt, this case is that case. Simply put, one would be hard-pressed to find a case with such overwhelming evidence of guilt as to the identity of the murderer and the premeditated nature of the assassination. Maury Glover, Fox 9.
So pretty amazing. It sort of gives a look into Luigi Mangione's mental state of mind. We call that the mens rea mental state of mind in this decision, this premeditated murder, which is if he is guilty of this, and he's innocent until proven guilty, these documents, this diary, this manifesto, if you will, shows his mental state of mind in regards to what his intentions were. And even though this thumbnail here says prosecutors say Luigi Mangione planned a mass casualty event, he seemingly alluded to the fact that he didn't want to hurt a lot of people. He wanted to target a specific individual. Court documents are shedding new light on the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. New York State prosecutors say Luigi Mangione had a diary where he wrote about his plans to kill the healthcare executive months before he was gunned down in New York City. In Wednesday's 82-page filing, prosecutors justified adding terrorism to Mangione's first-degree murder charge. When Luigi Mangione was arrested by police in Altoona, Pennsylvania last December, prosecutors say they recovered a red notebook he used as a diary among his possessions. They say the diary includes several entries that explain Mangione's intent and motive to deliberately assassinate Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, the country's largest health insurance company. So, premeditated evidence against him? Is it in fact a confession? Comes pretty damn close to it. Pretty damn close to a confession. Yet it becomes much more complicated when we look at the case, and he has three separate cases, three separate venues, three separate jurisdictions that intends, at this point anyway, to prosecute Luigi Mangione. Makes it more complicated, doesn't it? This is from Law and Crime.
Terrorist attack with a bomb, or at least he thought about it. That is what a new court filing alleges about the man police say assassinated United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The 82-page document submitted by New York prosecutors unveils some of what Mangione allegedly wrote in a red spiral notebook that was found in his backpack when he was arrested at a Pennsylvania McDonald's, including an alleged handwritten confession. Not only that, but we have also learned that the morning Mangione allegedly shot Brian Thompson, it wasn't the first time that he was close to the healthcare executive. He allegedly stalked him in preparation for murder. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
So again, he was stalking this man. Was the day before he did sort of a dry run to see where Brian Thompson was. To make sure he knew how to get to the location, what was at the location. So he would get no surprises relative to what could potentially happen during this assassination.
Police, a ghost gun, a 3D printed firearm. We'll get into the new facts that we are learning about the hunt for Mangione in just a moment, but the first bombshell in this new document has to do with what happened before Mangione allegedly shot Thompson, because that shooting was not the first time. Prosecutors say that Mangione was physically close to Thompson. The night before, around 8 p.m., prosecutors say that Thompson was walking down a Manhattan street when a man walked by. by him. The man was talking on a phone, and that man was Luigi Mangione. Mangione had been staying, according to prosecutors, at a hostel since the end of November, and this document suggests that he was waiting for his alleged target to arrive in New York. Less than a week after Thompson was killed, Mangione was arrested at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. There was a customer who spotted him and recognized him from the news. When police arrested Mangione, not only did he have $7,800 in cash and a passport, but he also had a red spiral notebook. Prosecutors say it was a diary, and now we're learning some of what was written in it. On August 15th, more than 3 months before Mangione allegedly killed Brian Thompson, Luigi writes, quote, "I finally feel confident about what I will do. The details are coming together, and I don't feel any doubt about whether it's right/justified. I'm glad, in a way, that I've procrastinated because it allowed me to learn more about UHC." Then, let's go to October, where Mangione makes his intentions allegedly clear. Quote, "The investor conference is a true windfall. It embodies everything wrong with our health system, and most importantly, the message becomes self-evident. The problem with most revolutionary acts is that the message is lost on normies. For example, Ted K makes some good points on the future of humanity, but to make his point, he indiscriminately mail bombs innocents. Normies categorize him as an insane serial killer, focus on the act/atrocities themselves, and dismiss his ideas. And most importantly, by committing indiscriminate atrocities, he becomes a monster, which makes his ideas those of a monster, no matter how true. He crosses the line from revolutionary anarchist to terrorist, the worst thing a person can be." Mangione is allegedly referring to Ted Kaczynski, who is known as the Unabomber. He killed 3 people and hurt 23 others by sending explosives in the mail over the span of roughly 20 years.
These documents are extremely powerful, and as evidence, it shows the mens rea. It shows the mental state of mind of Luigi Mangione. And the mens rea led to the actus rea, which is the physical act. So this was what was on his mind. And on December 4th, he took what was on his mind and he acted upon it by shooting in the back and in the leg CEO Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. So if you don't think that this is powerful evidence of his intentions, of premeditation, then you've never followed a criminal case. So powerful.
And this isn't the first time that Mangione allegedly looked up to the Unabomber. You might remember in the days after his arrest, it was discovered on the book review site Goodreads that Mangione reportedly once referred to Kaczynski as a revolutionary, which matches up with what he said allegedly in this red spiral notebook diary. Before I get back to this story about Luigi Mangione.
So what was Luigi Mangione trying to become? Was he trying to become a martyr? Was he trying to become a terrorist? What were his goals in this? And clearly, with his premeditation, with his well thought out plan, his recon, his running into the, or not running in, but seeing Brian Thompson on the streets of New York on December 3rd, the day before this dastardly deed was going to take place. This was well planned out. The premeditation of it, the mens rea, and leading to the actus rea. And then what we have, which I find a little baffling, and there's people that in the audience out there, our audience, and just American citizens and people all over this world, that think that Luigi Mangione was justified. They really sort of see the healthcare industry, and specifically Brian Thompson, as the evil person in this case. And that because United Healthcare has denied so many claims and cost people their lives because they've denied claims or made people wait 6 months or a year to some kind of procedure that was needed that could save their life, that he's become the demon. Brian Thompson has become the demon. And Luigi Mangione, who incidentally has about $1.1 million. I incorrectly said yesterday on the show, dated $1.5 million. Right now, he has about $1.1 million in his defense fund. So people, no doubt, are donating to the defense fund to Luigi Mangione to pay this woman here, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, who is his lead attorney, and they'll be, believe me, they'll burn through that 1.1 million and more, especially if there's more than one case, if they have to try the state case and the federal case. They will burn right through that money.
New filing from prosecutors also shows that Mangione may have allegedly planned to kill Thompson before December 4th, but also allegedly thought about doing something that would hurt more people. In that August diary entry, Mangione wrote, quote, KMD would have been an unjustified catastrophe that would be perceived mostly as sick, but more importantly, unhelpful. Would do nothing to spread awareness, improve people's lives. The target is insurance. It checks every box. At the time of this recording, it's unclear what Mangione meant by KMD. But in his October post, where he allegedly writes that he's decided to target Brian Thompson, an entry reads, quote, so say you want to rebel against the deadly greed-fueled health insurance cartel. Do you bomb the HQ? No. Bombs equal terrorism. Such actions appear the unjustified anger of someone who simply got sick, had bad luck, and took their frustration out on the insurance industry while recklessly endangering countless employees.
So you could see he was very much concerned. He didn't want to be a terrorist. So he didn't want, according to this document, he did perhaps plan a mass casualty event, but thinking about it, it would make him look like a terrorist. And he didn't want that look, because once you cross over that line to being a terrorist, people forget about your cause and they immediately say that that's wrong, no matter what your cause. And I think killing a man by shooting him in the back, I don't care what your cause is either. That's called murder, But there's many people out there that think, oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. They justify it because the healthcare industry in the United States is so bad. Yeah, he did the right thing by killing Brian Thompson. Many people say that.
Mangione then allegedly continues, whack the CEO at an annual parasitic bean counter convention. It's targeted, precise, and doesn't risk innocence. Prosecutors not only showed the evidence they have related to those handwritten diary entries, they also included what appears to be an alleged handwritten confession to the federal government. That says, quote, to the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly, I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial, some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife or trauma, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. Mangione then allegedly goes on to say that the US has the most expensive healthcare system in the world and is roughly the 42nd ranked country for life expectancy.
So if you don't think that's powerful evidence and that's a confession, I think it is. And I think it's very, very, very powerful. And his attorneys, of course, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, will try to get that thrown out. Will try to get that suppressed. And we heard right early on in this case that, the Altoona police, they violated his rights by not getting a search warrant when they arrested him. You don't need a search warrant when you arrest someone based on probable cause on the street. It's called search incidental to lawful arrest. You can search their whole body, their lungible area, things they are carrying without a search warrant. And it all will be admissible. All right. Search incidental. And you look up the law of arrest, you will see that is part of the law of arrest. So will Karen Friedman Agnifilo and her other high-priced attorneys be successful in trying to get some of this evidence suppressed? I think not. I really think not. But, there's a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks out there that say, he searched them without a search warrant, and I don't know where they went to law school, but, and apparently most of them never went to law school, but they tell us all the time, those searches were no good. This is Banfield from News Nation.
For somebody who tried so hard not to get caught, Luigi Mangione seemed to have wanted the whole world to know who killed the CEO of United Healthcare last December. And it seems he wanted us to know why. Just after he was arrested, we got a small taste of Mangione's grievances when we found out about that notebook that he kept in his backpack, and a few lines were leaked to the media. Like, these parasites had it coming. That was one that really stuck out. But now comes a court filing from the Manhattan DA unloading chapter and verse of what they say is Mangione's twisted rationale for Brian Thompson's murder, and why Mangione decided against mass murder instead. The filing indicates that last August, Luigi wrote, and I quote, "I don't feel any doubt about whether it's right/justified. I'm glad in a way that I've procrastinated because it allowed me to learn more about UHC." Presumably that's United Healthcare. The DA says Luigi continues, "The target is insurance. It checks every box." And they say in October, Luigi wrote this, quote, "This investor conference is a true windfall. It embodies everything with our health system, and most importantly, the message becomes self-evident." Luigi apparently spent a lot of time thinking about the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, as well. He considered Kaczynski a failure because, quote, "normies categorize him as an insane serial killer, focus on the act/atrocities themselves, and dismiss his ideas. And most importantly, by committing indiscriminate atrocities, he became a monster, which makes his ideas that of a monster." I could keep going, but I want to stop here and bring in Eric.
So, Mangione was very cognizant of the fact about his PR, his public relations. He did not want to look like a terrorist. He did not want to look like a monster. He did not want to look like a crazy, like he referred to Ted Kaczynski as. So he decided not to do what was mentioned in some of the documentation as a mass casualty event. And perhaps he had planned that and thought better of it when he studied the background of Ted Kaczynski. And he's very smart, Luigi Mangione. University of Penn graduate, right? He's an engineer, smart guy. So he decided against it because he is fully and was fully aware of his public relations. So he simply decided just to shoot this man, the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, shoot him in the back before he attended his convention. Shoot him dead on the street with a ghost gun. That'll get the most bang for the buck. And that'll get people to cheer you on, Luigi Mangione. You child of privilege who I guess maybe had an empty life because he decided to do something radical and murder the CEO of United Healthcare because he just needed to go. He needed to go. He had to send a message out there to other healthcare CEOs and to the healthcare industry. So that's what he did. Instead of doing a mass casualty event, let me just make a bigger statement by executing Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. So, folks, thank you so much for listening. As this case moves forward, it's quite interesting. And you could see the amount of evidence that they have against Luigi Mangione. So as the case moves forward, we will bring you more information. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Bill Cannon, retired NYPD Sergeant from Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. Have a great day, everyone. God bless.
One episode just ain't enough.